Hi, thank you for joining me for another process video, and today I'm documenting 4 photos from our trip to New York back at the end of 2023. These were taken in the Tavern on the Green in the park there, and it's the kids with their drinks and photos of their drinks. I've got a few more photos to document of this day, but I just wanted to get these down on this layout. So I pulled out my Vicki Boutin Discover and Create to work with that, and I'm going to see, as you can see, I'm going to have the 2 3x4 photos of the kids at the top, and then I've got the 2 photos of their drinks that I've trimmed down a little bit. They're probably about 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I'll have those on the bottom. So I'm going to create 2 shelves for these photos to sit on. So you can see I grabbed that paper that's got all the different strips and just trimmed some of the strips out. And then I've got these tags that are from the 6x8 paper pad, and I'm just choosing 2 of those to sit underneath the photos of the kids. Originally I thought that might be where I put my journaling, but in fact I find something else to use to hold my journaling. So I'm just trimming around the curves of this blue tag. They're funny, the pink one doesn't have curves and then the blue one does, so the different lines or different strips must have been different designs of tags there. But I just thought this blue would go nicely. You can see there's a bit of blue in the photo of Amelia, and there's blue around the photo. The tavern was beautifully decorated, and they let us, even though the kids were only 16 at the time, they let us sit at the bar to have a drink, and it was just perfect. Amelia chose a peppermint mocha, and James went for a non-alcoholic beer, but they had cocktails and all sorts, and they were more than happy to make them up as alcohol-free cocktails for the kids. So it was just wonderful that they were so accommodating. Nothing was too much, it was just brilliant. So I went off with my dies and cut these strips from the Hey Little Magpie notebook and torn edge dies. The black is just black cardstock, and the blue is one of the scraps of the paper that I had available. So I used the torn edge for the black and also the blue border at the bottom, and then the notebook edge for the other blue piece there. So now I'm just flicking through the 6x8 paper pad to choose which papers to mat my photos on. Been very brave today and didn't use white as a border, which I tend to do, but I have gone for the next best thing and gone for a very pale pink ledger paper, which almost reads white anyway. So I matted the photo in full on that, and then use the end strip, if you like, this spare piece, and turn that over and use the dotty reverse. So I'm also matting this second photo onto that ledger, and then I'm going to find something else to mat that onto in due course. So just flicking through again to see what I've got, and I see this pencil paper, but I love that grey graph. I also really like the plum on the background, so I'm going to use some of that as well on the bottom photos. So just distressing the edges of the photo of Amelia Festival, well, the photo mat, before sticking that down onto the grey. And I think I do a full mat of this as well. Just going to trim off that branding strip. Keep that just in case. And yes, I decided to do a full mat on this one. So once again, just trimming that down, and then I shall distress the edges. And I'm going to stick everything down to the strips because I do want to add some mixed media to the background, and you'll see that is a disaster for me. It's a disaster, it just doesn't work. So I do have to change my background, but I wanted to leave it all in to show that things don't always go swimmingly. I try and leave my mistakes in as much as possible, just to show that, you know, I'm not perfect, far from it. Things do happen to me as well. So just sticking that strip down there onto that photo, and then distressing the edges. I use my Tim Holtz edge distresser. I just find that brilliant for distressing the edges of papers. And then fiddling about, I'm going to distress the edge of this as well before I get these strips stuck down. Doesn't take long, just run it across the edges. And there you have it. So I'm just going to use my ATG to get that stuck down. I struggle with this. I don't know whether I didn't press down enough or put the ATG in the wrong place, but see, it came straight off. So, and then this one, I don't think there was enough ATG behind it. So just checking that I've got everything straight. I want to make sure that the photo of Amelia is straight against that strip. So just fiddling with that a bit to get that in place. And then this one of James can just overlap. You see there, it just didn't hold at all. And then when I stuck it down, I would manage to stick it down crooked. Anyway, there we go. So I'm just going to tuck these 2 border pieces underneath and then add some wet glue just to get those stuck down. And then I can work on the bottom. I don't know why this layout really did take quite some time to create. I don't know whether I'm in a bit of a creative slump at the moment or what's going on, but it didn't come together terribly easily. I was thrilled with it at the end, but it really was a struggle to get there. I think probably you'll see the background in a minute. I chose the wrong colour ink, and I quickly realised that I was actually trying to cover it all up with my embellishments. So I thought if I'm doing that, it's probably not the right background. So I pulled everything up, you'll see. So here I come in with my wet glue. Now I've managed to get that into place. I didn't want to have to move it again, so just using some wet glue to stick it at either end and then just a little bit underneath the photos there. So that's going to go in the top right hand corner. Relatively high up because I've got quite big photos, relatively speaking here. We're having 4 photos, so I wanted to keep it quite high up on the page. So this strip is for the bottom. So again, just distressing those edges, and then I realised I haven't even chosen papers to mat the photos with, so I just get this stuck down onto that border, or the border stuck down onto it, should I say. And that ampersand just came out of my pre-die cut file. It was from a 49er market paper, but that blue went really nicely with all the other colours in this Discover and Create collection, so I decided to use that. And the ampersand is cut from the ampersand die cut set, or die set from Hey Little Magpie again. So just distressing those edges. ATG to stick it down. I did reach for my wet glue. Old habits die hard. I used to use wet glue all the time, but I've converted to ATG, but I still seem to reach for it now and again, just for speed. It's just so quick, isn't it? Just to squeeze a bottle of glue and get things stuck down. So again, just sticking this onto the back. So I've only used 2 pieces of 6x8 paper to back all these photos. Oh, and this piece as well. This is a scrap. But using both patterns on the paper makes it so much quicker and easier, rather than constantly flicking through to find different pieces. But I did like this. I actually reached for it for the reverse, for that lovely beige. But then when I saw these stripes, I thought that would be a really nice addition. So I had the stripes first of all, then use a little piece of that beige on the background, just the overhang really from this piece. And then I will mat it all onto the burgundy again, or what did I call it, plum? I can't even remember what I called it before, but just for continuity, that lovely purple in the background there. So there's that piece, and then here's the last one. And using that dark colour works really well actually, because it makes those photos pop off the page. And once again, I will of course distress the edges, just trimming off the excess with those lovely Tim Holtz shears, I think they're called. They're really long scissors, but they're brilliant. We've got them in the shop. So again, overlapping those, there's plenty of blank space on that photo of James's drink, so it gave me a chance to save a little bit of room. And then gluing that ampersand down just with my wet glue onto the photo. And then sticking these photos onto that strip. So I hadn't stuck my tags down, so I just need to distress the edges, punch the holes, and then get those stuck down. It's quite a small hole, so I'm going to reach for my, oh gosh, what's it called? It's an eyelet setter that We Are Memory Keepers created, this one, Crocodile. And so I'm just going to punch the hole with the smaller hole punch on that. And then they can go underneath the photos. And as I say, originally my intention was to use this as a journaling space, but I found something else to use in the end, so. So now those are done, I'm going to use my pencil just to draw roughly where they're going to sit on the page, and then I'm going to come in with some mixed media. So I used my new blue, just look to see what it's called, Salty Ocean, and it's really quite a bright blue. And I thought it would go really nicely with these photos and brighten things up. But it was just too much on the page when I did it. I was really pleased with how it looked, but it just wasn't the right colour. So there's the pencil lines, just bringing that in to check that I'm happy with this colour. And at this point, I think I am. It definitely goes well with these papers, but gosh, it's bright. So using my little brayer, I'm just going to brayer around the edges of those pencil lines just to have a little bit of ink peeking out. And I love how this goes down. Like I say, I think I'll definitely use this technique again, but just for this layout, it's definitely the wrong colour. So just brayering it all, as I say, around the edges, and then with what's left, I'm going to mix in a little bit of chipped sapphire and add some splatters. I think it's already at this point, adding that chipped sapphire in is because I know that this is just too bright. I potentially could have gone in with some chipped sapphire over the top to tone it down a little bit and have two colours. But I just, like I say, I just struggled. I didn't really know which direction to go. So splatters were the answer to start with. And then, yeah, throwing it away at the end was the final answer. So I'm just going to move that over to one side to dry for a little bit. And I bring these back in to see what else I can add. So, of course, the obvious thing to add is my twine through those holes. So I've just chosen a green wax twine that works nicely. There is some greenery in the background of the photos, the wreaths that they had hanging from the ceiling. It looked really nice and the green shines through, so I thought that would work. And then I'm just going to go through some of the stickers and papery pieces to see what else. I spotted these circles and I thought that would be nice to add there, but then I forget and I bring something else in. I like that washi tape sticker that says all the things. So I'm putting that down just because of all the things that they had available to choose from at the bar. It was phenomenal. And then this piece is the one that I was talking about that I thought would work for my journaling. And I know in my mind, I was thinking, well, that'll cover a bit of that blue up. So I pulled that out, and also this little envelope piece that also does go onto the layout. It just stacks under there. I put it back for now, but I do use it. And here's the background coming back in. So I just daubed up some of those splatters that I'd added on, just because a few of them were still a little bit wet. And then I'm going to stick this piece down. So you can see that already covers up a nice amount of it. And then I'm bringing this stack back in. But I can see there's too much blue in the top left-hand corner, so I'm going to bring in some stickers to cover that. So just getting everything stuck down. Thank heavens I used ATG, or it would have been a more messy process to pull this up. Just checking that it's straight. I know that photo of James is a little bit wonky, so I was just having a look at that. And then this piece, and straight away I bring the envelope piece back in, you can see, because it was covering up a nice amount of the blue. And it doesn't look so bad on film. In real life, it really was terribly bright. So just getting all this stuck down. And those pencil lines do really help to position things. So that's that all the things sticker, which is going to go down at the bottom here. I'm messing with the wax twine. I'm not quite sure what to do with that yet. So then I'll look through to see what else I can find. Straight onto the sticker book, and I'm looking for some tags and tabs to add. As I say, that blue was just a little bit too far out on the left-hand side there at the top. So I add this one, and then I find a circular one as well. And it's starting to cover it up a bit better. But I think it is at this point that I realise, why am I doing that? Why am I covering things up and trying to make it work when I'm just not happy? No matter how much I do, I'm not going to be happy with it at the end. So then I find another word phrase that says so wonderful, but I didn't like the white border, so I do just go around with my little cutter-bee scissors and cut that out. And it looks much better without the white border. If it was going onto a white cardstock, it wouldn't have mattered at all, but it just looked odd against all those different colours. So I just add that, making sure it's straight. And then I'm looking for some word phrases to add to my photos. So I found one up here that says highlights. And then one that says more of this. This one says siblings. And then this one says drinking. And still fussing with that wax twine. Trim off the excess because I'm just going to leave it to trail down like that. And this is where I pause and think, yeah, it's not working for me. So I grab another piece of white cardstock and slowly pull everything off and stick it back down onto a blank canvas. Now I do still want some mixed media behind it, but I think this really put me off. So I just come in with a stencil, you'll see in a little bit. So I'm just going to stick that back down and bring the bottom. I think I have to raise that a little bit. I think I put it a little bit low. So just carefully peeling this off and see how beautifully that comes off. Yeah, just lifting that up a little bit. So back in with my T-square just to check that it's straight. And then bringing that sticker stack. I was happy to leave that if it didn't work, but it came off so easily. There we go. So now a little ribbon loop while I decide what to do next. So just add a green one there, and then my lovely black and white gingham will go on top of that. And I do bring another black and white gingham to the bottom as well, you'll see shortly. Still faffing about with that wax twine. So just add a dot of glue just to hold that in place. And here's my stencil. So I'm just coming in with this. It's an old Simple Stories one. It's just a geometric pattern, and I'm using weathered wood, which is a lovely blue-grey, just to lightly blend through. And I'm using different pressure and using a lot of the ink that's left on the stencil to go around the edges and just add a little bit of interest around those photos so it's not just a stark white cardstock. So up at the top, and I come down the side. I don't think you can see that bit on the side terribly, just a tiny bit. It's just a nod really to the colour. And then I do add a tiny bit at the top left-hand corner again, just using what's left on the stencil really. And it just creates a little bit of interest on the page. There we go. And the same at the bottom. You can barely see it, but it is there. When you look, you can see it just about. So here's my journaling, just about their drinks and where we were. And then this is the gingham that I was talking about. So bringing that gingham loop to the side there, and then another one to the bottom. There we go. And then I go through the ephemera just to see if there's anything else that I can find in here. So I find this little pink heart that I'm going to add on the top there. When I decided that I wasn't going to add any journaling, I felt that I needed something else with those tags. And then this purple butterfly, I just think works nicely with the colours. I'm going to add that one there, and then I find another moth to add to the bottom border. There we go. I have him flying down actually. Still fiddling with that wax twine. Just doesn't seem to want to go the way I want it to. So just keep looking through while I'm holding on to that. And then I decide to add one of our padded hearts from Hey Little Magpie bits and pieces. And it just goes at the bottom there. And then I find this piece which has got that lovely tab, and I want to use that for my roller date stamp. So I'm just going to trim off the excess and tuck that in at the top. Goes to the left, move it over, that's it. So I'm just going to glue that down, and then I'll add the date after when I've checked it. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've provided some inspiration. I'll see you soon. Bye.